Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Talk. Today is Wednesday, April the 22nd. I'm Mark Bradberry. Why don't you grab a cup and join me? Hey, is it just me? Or have you noticed as well that common sense seems to be in short supply these days? It's like toilet paper and hand sanitizer have been, recently. Common sense just seems to have run out in some venues. I can't figure this out. Have you just noticed that some people are just reacting to circumstances, reacting to the externals, rather than exercising practical judgment based on fact? In times of mass crisis, we tend to listen to the gossip. We tend to listen to the murmuring. We tend to follow rumors. We tend to go with the crowd. In times of personal crisis, we tend to skew things inwardly, and we hear the things that we want to hear. Every adult, I really believe this, every adult of sound mind and sound spirit has a God-given ability to perceive and to understand and to judge. But we don't always use that ability. We don't always take advantage of it. How about you? Is common sense in short supply in your pantry? Well, it's common sense to use common sense. So why do we cast it aside so easily? Well, that wouldn't surprise you. Fear, greed, self-deception, selfish desires. When we give way to those impulses, when we let those impulses run roughshod over us, when we abandon that solid wisdom, we're taking a very dangerous course. The results can be disastrous. Solomon said that there is a way that appears to be right, but in the end, it leads to death. Now, I'm reminded of Hezekiah. You might not have heard of Hezekiah. He was a king of Judah around the time of the prophet Isaiah, about 2,700 years ago. And he was a leader who generally loved the Lord, and he had seen God's hand at work on numerous occasions. But the Bible tells us of a time in which the nation of Judah had miraculously thrown off the oppression of the Assyrians, right? And just so happens after this that Hezekiah suffered a very serious illness, and he survived. Well, the king of Babylon, a powerful and rising empire at that time, sent Hezekiah some letters and a gift through some envoys, and perhaps Hezekiah just kind of got a little excited, but maybe an excited response to his recovering from his illness and of the country's independence, and maybe he was a little flattered by the Babylonian king's attention. Hezekiah foolishly decided to make a pretentious display of opening up his palace completely to the Babylonian envoys. And he showed them everything. I mean everything. Every bit of gold and silver in the palace, every treasure that was available. There was nothing among Hezekiah's treasures that he didn't show them. Well, Isaiah, the prophet, confronted him for this foolishness, for his complete lack of wisdom. And Isaiah pronounced upon him this. He said, "Hear the word of the Lord. The time will come, Hezekiah, when everything in your palace and all things in your possession will be carried off to Babylon. Nothing will be left, said the Lord. And some of your descendants, your own flesh and blood, who will be born to you, will be taken away, and they will be made eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon." Now, even at that, Hezekiah didn't even learn anything. He thought, well, as long as there's peace in my lifetime, it's all good, right? Well, of course, Isaiah's words proved very true, and the nation paid dearly for Hezekiah's idiocy. So what's the simple lesson here? Let me be just direct like Isaiah was. Don't be stupid. Okay? Think about things before you act. Don't just react emotionally. Don't let pride lead you around. Don't let your emotions guide you and drive you ahead. Don't blindly follow the crowd. Seek wisdom. Act in wisdom. Measure your response. Use some common sense, for crying out loud. And folks, always enjoy your coffee.